Hi, I'm Melanie from 10 Mile, Tennessee. We're in Cozumel, Mexico. Come on down and join us.
Oh, I didn't say scuba.
Hi, I'm Melanie. We're in Cozumel, Hi, I'm Melanie from 10 Mile, Tennessee. We're scuba diving in Cozumel, Mexico. Come on down and join us.
Now we got it. Melanie is a chemical engineer and works as a nuclear power provider. Big smarts. Me, I graduated from the University of Hard Knocks, graduated cum laude. One of the best things about Cozumel, it's noted for its magnificent drift dives and also coral heads the size of houses. Let's check it out. We're now coming into the Cozumel Scuba Club, and this is one of the best venues for diving in Cozumel. It was built for divers by divers. The rooms are spacious and you can take your gear out. You have your own private locker. Nice pool area. And this is the main drag very early in the morning. Usually cars are zipping on this road along with cyclists. And this is the courtyard area of the Cozumel Scuba Club. And it's right on the beach. The dive shop is right in the resort. And you can, of course, beach dive. And the depth of diving offshore right there is about 14 to 15 feet deep, very shallow. Now we're getting ready to go our first dive on Cozumel. And we have about 21 divers from Knoxville, Tennessee, all from Ski Scuba Center. The visibility is great. We're in about 50 feet of water. Beautiful colored coral. And the visibility here exceeds 100 feet. And as you can see, the current kind of zips you along. It's drift diving. And sometimes that drift can be very, very powerful. I'm not even finning in these shots, just coasting along, effortless diving. Very colorful soft corals. The fish weren't tremendously big in Cozumel, but they were many and plentiful. And you can see why they call it drift diving. The small stuff is quite scenic, and we're gripping up for an ascent. That's a queen angelfish, of course. And this is one of the only turtles we saw in the area. There's not as plentiful as, say, the Palm Beach area, but they are there. I did not like my new little wetsuit. Didn't fit quite properly. Felt like a Pillsbury Doughboy. Now we're getting ready to go on our second dive in Cozumel. And this scenery is just spectacular. Visibility exceeding 100 feet. These swim-throughs are quite amazing. These are the biggest coral heads I've ever seen. Some of them are big as houses. Here we're going through a swim through. We're at about 60, 70 feet deep. It's almost like cave diving, but it's a whole lot safer in that it's not a ended cave you swim through. And the dive guides know these areas backward and forward, so you're always in a safe position. The main thing in doing a swim through is keep your fins off the bottom and don't stir up the sediment so the guy behind you can't find his way through. And we're coming back up after a great dive. The dive guides assist you with everything, getting your tank ready, on and off. Hey, this is Rick Bone with Underwater Explorer. I'm sure you probably heard that when you go to Cozumel, it's not safe to drink the water out of the tap, and it's not. Most of the motels furnish huge bottled water supplies for you. But here's 2 more hints that you'll want to know in order not to get Montezuma's revenge. Do not brush your teeth in the sink, and do not open your mouth in the shower. We had one person that did that, brushed her teeth in the sink, and got very ill. So 2 hints word for the wise. We're back diving again. We're in about 65 feet of water. That's a puffer fish. And these fish schools are trying to get out of the current, and they're up under the reef where most of them congregate. Have a safe place to go if they're being chased. And as you can see, there's a little backscatter in the water. These fish you can approach very easily. They're almost tame, as it were, as spearfishing is totally illegal. I'm trying to decide if I want to go over the lip of that fall off the edge of the reef, and I decided not to. If you do go over the lip, that the depth goes to several hundred feet and several thousand feet. There's another queen angel. I seem to focus on these guys every dive I go. That's a basket sponge, and that's a parrotfish. Here are more fish, yellows and blues. They're all over the reef. Some like to cruise in the current, and others like to seek shelter from the current. All our divers were curious about the small stuff as well as the larger fish. I like to shoot these soft curls, especially the yellow ones. Some of these fish are very well camouflaged. And here we're coming back up. Back down again in about 80 feet of water. We're just coming out of a swim through, and that was at about 70 feet. There's another puffer fish. Now you can see the extreme visibility. These are a couple of snorkelers. And again, coming topside. That boat was probably one of the best dive vessels I've ever been on. We had a little weather on this dive. The seas were getting up around 2 to 4 feet. There are so many dive boats in Cozumel that each dive boat has the name of itself on its bottom, so you don't make a mistake, get on the wrong dive boat. But if you do, they'll take you back to your own boat. That's a little French angelfish. These are some tube worms on the bottom. We're trying to find a seahorse. Dive guys knows the general vicinity of where they are, but they're so small, they're about 2 to 3 inches only. And there he is. But it looks just like a seahorse is supposed to look. He was one of the bigger ones. He was about 4 inches long. That seahorse was amazing. It's only about 4 or 5 inches tall, but it's a real rarity. Divers hardly ever get to see him. Cozumel, Mexico. We're on the bottom at about 60 feet of water. That's a horse-eyed jack. Now we're at about 70 feet of water. And the current has really picked up. We're trying to decide whether to do the dive or abort it. And we decided to go ahead. The currents can get very funny off Cozumel. They also have down currents that can take you toward the bottom if you're not careful. Of course, everybody knows how to operate their BC. And you, of course, want total neutral buoyancy. Beautiful soft corals. And these schools of fish hung under the overhangs of the reef. More tube sponges. Everybody was so hyped up over seeing that seahorse that they tried to find another one. But we only saw 2 that day. A little eel. He was about 2 to 3 feet long. Most of the tube sponges get their nutrition from the currents, of course. Now we're going down to a very exciting wreck dive. Most wreck dives are open. You go inside to a big roomy area, but we got taken through this whole ship. And in some cases it was pitch black. That's the propeller. We're at about 55 feet deep. Now we're on top of the wreck. And this wreck has been down for quite a number of years, as you can see the growth on it. There weren't a lot of fish around this wreck, and that's very unusual. There's the superstructure of the wreck. And there we're swimming along beside. We're working our way back to the dive boat. That's a pretty good sized grouper. He's about 30, 35 pounds. Of course, a barracuda. Now we're in much calmer water. We're in kind of a bay area. That's a little shark, little nurse shark. He's about 5 to 6 feet long. Virtually no current in this area. A little swim through that was a little too close to maneuver. More tube sponges. beautiful blue soft corals. That's a little ray. He was about 1 foot in diameter. This little guy followed us all during the day. We're right on the lip of the reef that goes over into extreme deep water. There's a little eel. He was just about 3 feet long. They very seldom come out of their hole like that. So he was obviously used to handouts. The current is very much subsided in this bay area. Very pleasant dive. That's a big cruise ship in the background. That's Melanie. We had a diverse crew. We were on the top side of the dive boat, where everybody congregates after the dive. And now we're back at the hotel. That was our dive boat for the week. Very roomy, about a 50-foot dive boat. We've all had a great time and we're coming in. There we're at the dive rinse, where you rinse all your gear after each dive. This is the top side of the motel. One of the dive boats taking off. That pool was very hot. It was hotter than the ocean. Now we're back in Singer Island, Florida, off the Palm Beaches, and this is the inside of Jim Abernathy's Scuba. One of the best dive places in Singer Island. They go out virtually every day. Great dive boat, great skipper and crew. And we're on our 10 o'clock morning dive in about 50 feet of water. And there too, we're in a drift dive situation. The visibility is not near as good as Cozumel on this particular day in Singer Island, but it also does exceed 100 feet on occasion. And this is Cable Reef. You can see the intercontinental telephone cable crossing the reef. Some of the exact same type of fish as Cozumel. Of course, we're considerably north of that area. Visibility that day was about 35 feet. Now we're getting ready to approach a wreck area. It's a little ray. There are more fish schools off Singer Island than just about anywhere in the country. And this is Breakers Reef. The shells are beautiful. There's a barrel sponge. This is sea anemone. That's very rare for this area. The reef here comes about 45 feet off the bottom. That's a butterfly fish. Notice how the scuba gear has gotten a whole lot more colorful over the years. In past years, say 20, 25 years ago, all your dive gear was basically black. Now it's yellow, blue, red, whatever color you can imagine. and whichever you choose, you get color coordinated. That was a lionfish. Now we're on our way back up. And back down for a wreck dive in about 70 feet of water. And this is called the corridor. There are 4 wrecks along this area. And you can swim to each one of them on the very same dive. This is the side of one of those wrecks. This little turtle, I've seen him before, I think. He lives on this wreck. Now we're right inside the middle of the wreck. We stayed at this wreck a little bit longer than the others because the corals are so much more beautiful. Turtle getting back into his hiding place. Sometimes the currents really rip through this area, and the only way to get out of them is to go to the opposite side of the wreck and just hug the bottom. But on this day, it was not bad at all. Somebody inside that shell. And we're getting ready to end our dive. I'm in a place called Toy Box. Now we're about 40 miles south in the Fort Lauderdale area. Doug Sailors, formerly of Knoxville, Tennessee. We're on his boat cruising the Intercoastal. The houses in the area are just magnificent, as also the boats are. Seems like everybody's got a yacht right on the water in the back of their house. We thought about going out in the ocean, and it was a little bit rough, so we didn't elect to do so. That's the biggest house I think I've ever seen under construction. Nobody seems to know who owns that. One of the biggest yachts in the area. And it's just a great day cruising the Intercoastal at a very slow speed. Now we're back at Doug's house, right on the Intercoastal. His pool area. Now we're in Key West, Florida. And this is the Pier House, one of the nicest tropical hotels in Key West. Gardens and palm trees. Beautiful area. This is the restaurant area right on the ocean. They even have their own beach, which is a rarity in Key West. Little swim platform. Nice pool area. We're on our first dive in Key West. Great dive boat, about a 50-footer. And we're only in about 20 feet of water. And we're in a place called Sand Key. And there, because of the shallow water, we're in some surges. We're trying to shoot the smaller stuff due to the limited visibility. We're almost on top of the reef. We're in 20 feet of water. When we get to 15 feet, we turn around and go back toward another part of the reef. This is about a 100-pound grouper, and he was under one of the coral ledges, and he was absolutely the highlight of the dive. We saw him several times as he followed us around the reef. Now we're coming back from our dive in Key West, and this is one of the many cruise ships that stops there during the day. We're getting off the dive boats. I say that's one of the finest dive boats that I've ever been on. Plenty of roomy. This is the Hyatt where the boat is docked. I'm with Sean Coles of Mel Fisher Treasures in Key West, Florida. Sean, can you tell us a little bit about the new treasure detection machine that was developed?
Sure. It's called an HAUV, a hybrid autonomous underwater vehicle, and we're very excited about it. An autonomous underwater vehicle, they've been around for a little while, and obviously what an autonomous underwater vehicle does is it's untethered. So this machine, which looks like this, right here.
Right.
It's an untethered machine that will be used for survey work. So it's programmed, it's got a computer in there, a brain. It's programmed to do what we want it to do, which is simply to do a pattern of surveying either with magnetometry or side scan sonar. So it drops into the water column and it starts at a certain depth and then just does a very methodical pattern, you know, either giving side scan or pulse induction telling us, you know, what's a depth, either showing us an image or with side scan reading gammas and telling us, with magnetometry telling us gammas, what ferrous metals might be at depth. An HAUV can do that, but then it can also be tethered and turned into an ROV, where we can go down and inspect the particular target that we've identified, or better identify the target that we have found. So that's pretty neat. The other great thing about this particular machine is that it has the intelligence to go all the way down to the bottom, 1,000 meters, and hover just inches off the bottom of the ocean. And in doing that, it's now doing pulse induction, which is like a big metal detector, but a much more powerful metal detector. The coils in this we're expecting to be able to penetrate about 6 feet through the mud or clay or sand, whatever the bottom composition is. More importantly, it can do that, you know, very methodically in this huge pattern. The battery life on this is maybe 12 to 16 hours. But if it's coming along an obstruction, it can see an obstruction from maybe 200 feet away and compensate for it. You'll either navigate over it or around it and then get right back onto course. And remember, this is all untethered. So it's really an intelligent machine. There's nothing out there like it. It's one of a kind. And when doing what it's supposed to do, it'll be a game changer.
This is Casa Marina in Key West. This is the nicest resort in Key West. Plentiful grounds. This is one of the first hotels in Key West. It's been bought and sold many times. Great pool area. Great meeting places. And of course right on the ocean. And this is more acreage than any other resort in Key West. This is Mel Fisher's Treasure Party, the end of the season, and we appreciate you diving with us this time on Underwater Explorer.